questions that for the last level. It's okay if you didn't get to it. So I will do them now so that you have something to compare it to. Okay, so just make it bigger so I have more row. All right, first one, it's a complex, right? It says that there's a lot to do in the numerator, a lot to do in the denominator. Now, in this case, would I change it to a decimal? I probably would not. Okay, so number 1, 7/8, and I'm going to change that, and I'm going to write that 9/10, okay, because that's what 0.9 is. And then at the bottom, 1/4 minus 1, well, that one is easy, right? So I can just write -3/4. Okay. And then let's take care of the top. So the top, I'm going to find a common denominator, and the common denominator is going to be 40, right? Again, the bottom, I'm already done. The denominator is already subtracted. 1/4 minus 1, I get -3/4. And here I get, let's see, 8. So the equivalent fraction of 7/8 in 40th would be, well, this one is times 5, right? So I multiply the top times 5, so I get 35 over here. And 9/10, again, how did the 10 become a 4? The equivalent fraction, I multiply that by 4, so I multiply the top by 4, I get 36. If I subtract it, I'm going to keep changing color, okay, so that I'm confused. So on the top, 35 minus 36 is just -1 over 40, right? That's what I have left over -3/4. I can now, and I'm going to write that again to the side. I'm going to write it horizontally, -1 over 40 divided by -3/4. So that's where we're at. Change that to multiplication, we get -1 over 40 times -4 over 3. We can simplify before we multiply, right? So the 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 40 divided by 4 is 10. Final answer, well, it's a negative times a negative, first of all, so it's going to give me a positive answer, and it's 1 over 30. So that's the first one, and yeah, that's that. Number 2, so I'm going to erase all that. Right, so number 2 is 3 times 1/5 minus 3/8 times 4 plus the absolute value of the product of -5 times 0.75. All right, so 3 times 1/5, well, let's right away do that. So 3 times 1/5, so if you put this over 1, you can multiply the numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, and you actually just get 3/5. Minus, and let's do this part right here, 3/8, right, minus 3/8 times 4, and again, put that off 4 over 1 if you like. We can simplify, divide the 4 by 4, which gives me 1, and the 8 by 4 divided by 4, which gives me 2. So I get 3 over 2. All right, so far I'm liking my fractions because I will eventually change them to the decimals. So I just did that 3/8 times 4 plus the absolute value of all that stuff that's inside, right? So let me put that. And it's -5 times 0.75. So 0.75 times -5. 5 times 5 is 25, carry 2, 5 is 7, 35, plus 2, 37, carry 3, and it's going to be 3, and again, it's going to have 2 decimal places, so 3.75, but negative, because it's a negative times a positive, so my answer is negative. It's not going to matter anyway, right? Because if we take the absolute value of that, it's going to be, sorry, and then I'm eventually going to take the absolute value. Let me put it in a different color. So if I take the absolute value of -375, it's just 3.75, right? I'm going to change 3/5 to a decimal, and that's going to be 0.6. 3.5 is going to be 1.5, right? That says 3 divided by 2, and 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. So look how simple, right, this problem becomes, right? So now it's just a matter of adding and subtracting. So it's a positive minus an negative, so let's take care of these two guys first. It's 0.6, so if you want to change it to addition, and I will, 0.6 plus, and then the additive inverse of 1.5 is -1.5, right? So my answer is going to be negative. It's going to be -0.9. And then to that, we're going to add plus 3.75. And then negative 0.9 plus 375, obviously, the positive has a greater absolute value. So we know our answer is positive. And what am I going? I'm subtracting 0.9 from 3.75. So let me just do this here on the side. Right, from the absolute value of 3.75, I'm going to take away 0.9. That's going to be leaving me with 17 minus 9 is 8. Got borrowed. So I get positive 2.85. Okay, so my second answer is 2.85. Put it like that. Third one, let's see, 3.5. We can change that to decimals. So I'm going to do that. 3.5, I'm going to change that to 3.5. Minus 2 times 3 over 3/5. So if you think about it, 2 times 3/5, you don't even have to do it, but you can put this over 1, denominator times denominator, and numerator times numerator, we get 6 over 5. 6 over 5 as a fraction, as a mixed number is 1 and 1/5. And 1 and 1/5 is just 1.2. So all that becomes 1.2, which is this section right here. Minus the 5, and then finally minus 3/4 times 2/5. 3/4 times 2/5, let's do that on the side. Right, I can simplify this 2 and the 4. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. By multiplying, I'm going to get 3 over 10. And 3 over 10 is the same thing as 0.3. So this part right here is 0.3. Now, okay. So now I can add and do all the, right? So I'm going to change colors here. Let me use this color here. So 3.5 minus 1.2. So 3.5 minus 1.2. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 minus 1, so I get 2.3. So this 2 right here is 2.3. Minus 5 minus 0.3. I'll do it step by step. So now we're going to do this part right here. 2.3 minus 5. So I'm going to change it to addition. 2.3 plus negative, right? Because subtraction will turn to addition, and opposite of 5 is negative 5. So that's what we're doing right now. Right? So, and that obviously going to give me a negative number and negative 2.7. And then finally, I'm going to do the last part, negative 2.7 minus 0.3. If you want to change to addition, you can, which is what I'm going to do. Negative 2.7 plus negative 0.3. Well, that's just negative 3. So the answer to the third problem is negative 3. And we have the last one. So let's pick a color here that's different. Invisible. Brown? No. I think I used brown. Let's pick blue. No. Red. No. Did I just... sorry. Black. There you go. So 4.75. We'll leave it as a decimal. Minus 3 2/5 times 2. Well, what is 3 2/5? Well, 3 2/5 is 3.4. Right? If you multiply that by 2, well, $3.40 plus $3.40, that just becomes 6.8. Minus the last part, 10 3/4 is the same thing as 10.75. So again, you got lucky because you got all these easy fractions, or all these fractions that can be changed to terminating decimals. So it made life a little bit easier. So now we have to add this. Okay, so let's do these two first. That says 475 minus 6.8, so I know it's going to be a negative number. 475 plus negative 6.8, and you can clearly tell, right? So from the absolute value of 6.8, I'm going to remove, right, 4.75. So 6.8 minus 4.75. Let's add a 0 here. So we get 5, 0. Sorry, this borrowed. Let me just show you. 10 minus 5 is 5. 7 is 0. 7 minus 7 is 0. And then 6 minus 4 is 2. So that becomes and positive, don't forget, sorry, negative 2.05. So this is going to give you negative 2.05, to which we're going to subtract 10.75. And again, it's a subtract. So if you change it to addition, you're going to see that's a negative plus a negative, right? Plus negative 10.75. So we know our answer is going to be negative, so let's combine the two absolute values. So it's 2.05 plus 10.75, and that's going to give us 12.80, right? But negative. So the answer to the last one is negative 12.80. So our last task, okay, is to combine all three. Now, you're going to run into a problem because 1/30th, unfortunately, does not give us a nice decimal. So we're going to have to change everything to fractions. So 1/30th plus, that's a positive, so plus 2/85 hundredths, or actually, you know what? 285, so I'm going to automatically 285 hundredths minus 3, and then minus 1, 12.80 or 12.8 over, or 128 over 10. Right? It's the same thing. So I changed that to a fraction. Now, combine, find the common denominator and everything. The common denominator looks like it's going to be 300, unless, can I change that? Can I simplify this one? I can, and I will. 1/30, I don't feel like dealing with that. So let's divide that by 5. If I divide that by 5, I get 20 at the bottom. If I divide 285 by 5, I'm going to get 57. 57 over 100 minus 3, and then minus 128 over 10. Okay, so our common denominator is going to be a much lesser number. So our common denominator is going to be 60. Okay, and everything is going to be over 60. So 30, the equivalent 1/30. Let's find the equivalent fraction over 60. So it's going to be, change colors here. So it's times 2, right? Became 60. So it's going to be times 2 on top. So it's 2 over 60. 20 is 57 over 20. So we're going to multiply 20 by 3 to get 60. So I multiply the top by 3. And I get, what is that? 21 goes 2, 15, 17. The 3 was over 1. So I multiply top and bottom by 60 times 60, and I get 180. And 10 times 6 is 60, so I multiply this by 6, and I'm going to get, I have no idea, 48, 4, 12, 16, carry 1, 7, 68. Now I can add and subtract. It looks like it's going to be something over 60, right? So let's check. So this is a positive. 2 plus 171 is 173. Minus 180, so 173 minus 180 is going to give us negative 7. And then finally, negative 7 minus 768, it's going to give us negative 775 over 60. Can you put this as a mixed number? Yeah, let's do that. So if we put that as a mixed number, 60 goes into 775, a lot. Let's see. Here's 775, right? So it goes once, which is 60. Subtract 7 minus 0 is 7, 1, 5. So we're going to get a 60 goes into 175 2 times because it's 120. We have 55 left over. So that is an improper fraction. Mixed number, sorry, is 12. 55 over 60, which we can simplify. 12, 11 over 12. That seems to be the sum of all the 4 problems, if I didn't make any mistakes. If. Okay, so double check. Let me know if I'm correct or not.